Hey guys, how you doing? I wanted to put together a video here and find out who is doing funding rate arbitrage in the crypto perpetual futures space. So I've been exploring this strategy for a bit and am running into some roadblocks with executing this strategy. Now, on the surface, these rates look really juicy, or can look really juicy, but actually getting fills and making a profit off of these funding spreads is easier said than done. And the issue I'm running into here is the executions on the strategy. So if you are seeing a funding rate differential between two exchanges, how are you going about actually getting into that trade and getting out of that trade with minimizing your costs, right? Because the funding, it takes time to accrue, right? And if you are having to pay commissions and a spread in order to get in that position and then get back out of it again, are you actually making money off of that funding spread? So I had put together a tool here to kind of help me track, is it actually possible to get into these positions and not have to pay a huge amount of in slippage, or just the spreads between the two exchanges, between the bid and ask on the exchange, especially if you're trying to get in with market orders. So like on this screen here, we're taking a look at DOGE, and we can see that the funding rate is about plus 0.13 basis points per hour is what it's accruing at. So we see a spread differential of like maybe like 11% annualized, right? So with some leverage, we can jack that up a bit, but it works out to about 0.13 basis points per hour. Now, if we're trying to like go long on Paradex and short on Hyperliquid in order to start earning this, we can see that the spread's in our favor right now. It seems to be hanging out in positive territory, which means we're collecting. If we were to execute this trade, get into this trade with market orders, we're gonna get like 5 basis points right off the bat. If we try to get into this trade with a limit order for the first leg, we might even be able to bump that up to like 10 or 13 basis points. So here I've added a maker column to my UI here, so I can track if I wanted to try to get into this trade with limit order at the bid, and I got filled at the bid, what the spread would be. So this is key though, because you don't always see the spread in your favor, right? When you're executing these trades. So if it was reversed, if we were seeing a negative 16 here, like you're not going to make your money back. It's going to take a very long time to make your money back on this funding arbitrage trade, right? If you're down 16 basis points right off the bat. So like this is a total deal killer for these funding rate strategies. So I'm very curious to hear, how are people going about executing these strategies? The only thing I can think of, and this is kind of what I'm working towards, is creating an algorithm that's basically going to sit on the bid. If I was going to go long Paradex and short Hyperliquid, sit on the bid, wait till I get my fills, and then go offset on Hyperliquid, and then vice versa. But if you're trying to do this with market orders, I just don't see the payoff happening unless the funding rate difference is huge, right? So that's something that I am encountering as I'm attempting to implement this strategy. So I can go through here some of the other coins that I'm just tracking right now on here. So we got Solana. The only thing I don't have hooked up yet, I don't have the volume for Hyperliquid hooked up yet, so that's why it's showing 0 for all that. But we can see the spread on each exchange, the volume and the funding rate, and then these are the spread differences. So if we're going long Paradex, short Hyperliquid, we're going to collect actually 2.5 basis point spread. If we're shorting, if we're going long Hyperliquid, short Paradex, we're actually paying 3 3 basis points to cross the spread. Now it's down to -5. So this just kind of gives us some insight on whether or not it's going to be a profitable trade, or are we facing a headwind right from the get-go because of the spreads, the price spreads between the exchanges, not the funding spreads. So like this, for example, we'd want to short Hyperliquid or long Hyperliquid, short Paradex, because we got about a 10% funding difference there. But so we'd collect about 1.12 basis points per hour, but we see that the spread here between the two exchanges is not working in our favor right now. It's down, 10 basis points right from the get-go. So that's not going to be a trade that we'd want to consider. So let's go through some of the other coins here. We got Fart Coin. A pretty decent spread between this. We got 28% annualized. So that's about a third of a basis point per hour. Spread is slightly negative, so we might be able to make that work. It's bouncing around quite a bit though. So yeah, I mean, it would be tough without using limit orders on this to try to eke out a profit here. So let's see what else we got. We got Linea. Volume on Paradex is drying up on this though. 24-hour volume's under about $500,000. You can see the spread is huge on Paradex, 62 basis points. So getting out of this trade you're going to get wrecked. Take a look at Ripple here. Really no funding difference between the two exchanges. So Athena, slight funding rate difference, but the spread not working in our favor here. DOGE we just looked at. PAXG, I'm kind of fascinated by this one just because it's pegged to gold, and I would expect to see, given that this is like backed by a physical asset, I would expect to see some continuity across the exchanges as far as spreads and funding rates and stuff like that. But you kind of see sometimes this funding rate blow out between Paradex and Hyperliquid here. And let's see, on Pump, funding rate between the two exchanges pretty close right now. Liquidity on Paradex not great. The spread between the bid ask is bouncing between 10 and 20 basis points. So would be tough to get into this one. So anyway, a lot of things to consider when doing funding rate arbitrage. And so love to hear if anybody else out there is doing the strategy, and kind of what some considerations that you're taking into account when executing these trades. So as always, leave a comment below if you got any questions, you got any comments. Love to hear them, and hope you guys are doing awesome. I'll talk to you later. See ya.